Okay, it came to my attention that the recordings were really not good at all, and it sounded like a tin can. So I'm going to go back and redo this uh, one that I created. I may go back and redo the next one as well if I have time. So we are continuing on this idea of solving. So we're solving literal equations, which means we're trying to isolate one of the variables. So the thing we're going to continue with today is now we're going to work with more with formulas. And a formula is just a literal equation that relates quantities that are commonly used. For instance, in this case, the formula would be for the area of a square or a rectangle, and the area is equal to length times width. So what you're going to be doing today, you're going to be trying to isolate possibly the L. So we're going to use the same principles that we used yesterday when we were solving for a y. We're just going to use inverse operations to solve. So first thing we'd do on this one, we would divide by the w. And what would we be left with? We'd be left with the length is equal to your area divided by your width. Okay, so that could be useful if you were given the area and the width of a rectangle and you wanted to find the length. Okay, along the similar lines, oftentimes in science, you're going to be working with different formulas. One of the formulas you might work with in science is this one, which stands for distance is equal to rate times time. I like to refer to it as the DIRT formula. So if you ever hear me referring to it as the DIRT formula, this would be the formula that I'm talking about. So DIRT, distance equals rate times time. So let's say, for instance, we want to find the R, which stands for the rate. So in order to do this one, we'd simply divide both sides by the t, and the rate would be equal to your distance, now divided by your time. So again, this could be useful if you want to find your rate. For instance, if you want to find how fast you're going, if you traveled 300 miles in 2 hours. So how would we figure it out? Well, it says here that we take our distance, which was 300 miles. So the rate would be equal to 300 miles divided by 2 hours. So that leaves us with 150. And the interesting thing is, the label comes directly from what we did. So it says miles divided by hours. That translates into miles per hour. So that would be another example. Okay, yet another example. In geometry next year, you're going to be working with this formula quite a bit. And this formula says circumference is equal to pi times diameter. So the distance around a circle is pi times whatever the diameter is. So if we wanted to get the diameter by itself, we would simply have to, on both sides, we'd have to divide by the pi. So if we divided by the pi, you'd have diameter now is equal to circumference divided by pi. So if you're told that the circumference of a circle was some amount, you could divide by pi to find out what your diameter was. Okay. One last one. If I told you that the perimeter of a square is equal to 2 times the length plus 2 times the width, if I wanted to find out what the length is in terms of the perimeter and the width. So now my steps are similar to what we were doing yesterday when we were solving for the y. So now I would subtract 2w, and I'd be left with p minus 2w is equal to 2 times L. So how do I get the L by itself? I would now divide by 2 on both sides. And you'd have length is equal to p minus 2w all over 2. Now, this could be written a different way. You could say that the length is equal to the perimeter divided by 2 minus the width. Okay, so up to you how you write it. Both of them are equally as correct. So that would be what we are doing today, I don't know if I told you in this past video or the one coming up, but one little interesting fact about me. I have 4 brothers, no sisters, so you may want to learn some interesting facts about Mr. Lardy. And if you happen to watch the entire video, you may learn some interesting facts at the end. So thank you, and that should do it for today. Make sure you're taking notes. You can stop watching at this time.